Good morning and welcome. You are with the Skeinz Diaries. I am Marie. Here we are, episode 132, Monday, the 13th of March. Welcome along. Hello. I hope everything is going well at your place and you had a great weekend. What have I got to talk about? Two things on the list today. One is epic sale. Two is progress on my project. And the fact that you can do anything too in terms of designing your own project. So I'm going to start with that first to allow everybody to pile on in before I get into the meat and potato stuff with Epic Sale, because I know once I get into the meat and potato stuff with Epic Sale, you're going to have questions. So there's going to be loads of questions to answer and ask and answer about that. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully we're not going to have issues with sound and everything like we did the other day. Got to the bottom of it in the end, but there you go. Fun and games. Right. So I mentioned this last week. I got given a cone of woolen spun 100% wool for Christmas from my brother. And I thought, actually, I've never knitted, well, not for a very long time. I haven't knitted anything for him. And I suddenly thought, oh, actually, he's given me this cone of yarn. It would be fun to make something for him. So there's some really great patterns out there, and I thought, actually, no, I think I might just design something myself, just because I felt the need. And of course, this is going to be a Marie designer herself. Hey, Charles, a Marie designer herself, and of course, not write any of this down. So will I be publishing it? Hell no, probably not, because that's how I roll, But this is where I've gotten to. I have made a sketch, so this is good. It's a good start, right? So I have made a sketch, and where this all starts, and you can do this too. What I am doing isn't rocket science, people. I just wanted to do a very basic sweater for him to essentially wear on the weekends when he's out walking the dog. And I mean, because this is quite a rustic, hardy wool. It's essentially a woolen spun version of our Southlander. Right, so this is what this is. So I thought to myself, that's what I would love to do. So I thought something good, simple, it would lend itself to some twisted stitches. So the first thing, whenever you do anything like this, the number one first thing you must do is a swatch. And I know most people swear up their noses and they hate swatching, and it's not a thing. Look, we've all been there. I was the same, and I don't swatch for anything. But if you're wanting to design something, this, and there may be more than one, is your heart of gold. And in my case, there probably will be more than one, because I'm still uncertain about what I'm going to do around sleevage. But what I did want to do is I wanted to do some twisted stitches. And actually the inspiration, Charles, came, because I see Charles is here, the inspiration came from Charles's Kiwi hat, because it's made up using a whole bunch of twisted traveling stitches. And it looks so good. I knitted, the sample that I knitted was on a natural yarn using twisted stitches, and it just looked great. So that's what I wanted to do. And if you're wondering what I mean by that twisted stitch, it just means that I've knitted that knit stitch into the back of the stitch, so it actually twists the stitch around and gives it a little bit of an extra kink. So I wanted twisted stitches here across the ribbing. And one of the other things, I thought I'd like to do a raglan sleeve for him. Well, this is for now. It could change. And I'm working this from the bottom up, not from the top down. Okay, so I could have done it from the top down if I wanted to, but I thought, no, I want to go bottom up. So I'm going bottom up. I've got this measurement. I haven't actually, he doesn't know this is happening. So I've actually taken a chest measurement of my best friend, who is almost an identical, he is pretty much identical size to my brother, both in height and physicality. So I've already got his measurements. So I'm actually working it to his measurements, which should be fine. So I've got a sweater that he's worn that I can take a measurement from to get that sort of underarm measurement there. And then I'm sort of looking, I'd like to carry these twisted stitches as a feature along the raglan decrease there. So my next big decision to make as I'm working this bottom up, once I get to this point, and I mean, there's a good week or so's worth of knitting there, is how am I going to do these sleeves? Am I going to do these sleeves as separate pieces and then sew them in? Or am I going to do these sleeves and actually start, once I get to this point, am I going to start the sleeve here and work that sleeve as a tube in the round and then join it up at this point here and then work the entire thing as a yoke going up? I know you didn't know whether that was a thing, did you? But it's fiddly, a little fiddlier. But yeah, so so some twisted stitches in the raglan seam would be nice. Yeah. So what I'm actually thinking about doing, actually, I'm glad I got you here, Charles. Let's do the phone a friend while we've got. So my plan at this stage. That's what you would do. Great. Yeah, because my plan at this stage, Charles, is I'm thinking of where that decrease. I mean, if I work this as one piece, which at this stage I'm erring towards, but it's not set in stone. I'll see how I feel when I get there. Is that obviously I'm looking at running, I've done under, I'll show you in a second, but I'll be carrying up 2 twisted stitches and then do my decreasing after those twisted stitches. So it means that those decreases, those twisted stitches will give you this really beautiful visual line and actually make a feature of the raglan sleeve. Ribbing the sleeves. Oh, well, funny you should mention that. Well, actually, Charles, that's not a silly idea because I've actually gone on the sketch there, thought about putting the doing a sort of a line of them up there. But if I rib the sleeves, that would actually that could save me a few headaches. Actually, I'm going to swatch that. So heading back to the swatching again, I can then swatch what that ribbing would look like on the sleeve and actually put in, instead of a decrease in there, play around with those decreases, see what the decreases look like and do. And that's probably the next swatch that I will do. Yeah, because then that's the ribbing that I've got for the bottom. And actually a ribbing on that sleeve would look really nice. And then keep that raglan detail. Yeah, and it would be a different gauge. Right, exactly. It would be a different gauge. So I would probably potentially need... I hadn't considered that. But I think... See, this is why this is good to do this. You see, I hadn't considered that. But I think that would actually be quite fun. Yeah, so there you go. The things that one must consider. So this is what I'm doing at the moment. Now, as I mentioned, the yarn is woolen spun. I have it already cast on because I know that's what I'm going to do up to a certain point. And I'm going to show you where I'm at. So this is where I'm at. So this is the yarn here, and this is working it. Now, I know a number of you may actually have some of these. This was like Claire laughed. She's actually got this exact cone at home that she bought in the wool yarn sale. And you may have one of those. If you've got a woolen spun yarn on cone, one of the things that you may or may not know, like when I'm knitting this, it actually feels quite stringy, which is part of the reason why I needed to give it a soak and a wash. And that is because when something is woolen spun, it literally goes from fluff through a carding all into a continual process to get you a continual process, which then gets you at the very end of that process, as I unravel it, that single right there. So uncarded fluff goes in at the beginning, goes round through this big machine, and what you get out at the end of it is the single here. Ta-da! And then in this particular case, this is a 3-fold DK, and then they've gone and folded 3 singles together to create a DK. Because of the process and because of all the rollers and the machinery they do, there's like really fine mists, and they often mist fine oil and machine oils across everything to have everything moving through this process. It's quite mechanical all the way through. So it's really, really vital that if you are knitting any woolen spun yarn that's come straight from the manufacturer like this on cone, that you do need to, if you're working straight from the cone like me, you will have to give it a really good soak. So not a wash, just a soak. So it would just need to go in there with a little mild detergent to break up all of those oils, and give it plenty of time to do that, and then roll it out. And you'll just find what then ends up happening. Do you want to come in and say hello? Peter's just turned up. You do this every time.
Well, not intentionally.
Not intentionally. I'm just talking to everybody about the difference between woolen and worsted spun yarns, and about the importance of washing and soaking a woolen spun yarn if you're knitting it across the comb, because of the oils.
Yes.
Let's sit on it. You can see
well,
that.
Well, the oils should have been removed during the finishing. And so in worsted, in woolen, they put 3 to 5% of olein on. So it needs to be what's called wet finish to remove the oil before it goes on to be knitted into garments.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about.
It is.
It
Very
is.
good.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Hello, everybody.
Go.
I hope you're having a good time, and I hope you stay safe and well, etc. And we're going forward a day at a time.
I know, it's a bit like that at the moment. I'll
be
about 15 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Cheers.
See ya. Yes, so do make sure you do that if you've got one of these sitting at home. If you've purchased any of these, like for example, like if you've got Rebel from the team down at Outlaw, see, they do all of that for you because they put it through a dyeing process. So when you get it, it is beautiful and bouncy and luscious and gorgeous. So you don't need to worry. Same with our Kelly & Co. So it's only if you're getting that. Maureen saying, love the colour of the wool. So do I. It's actually very similar to our bracken. So you could actually do this with our bracken. So anyway, this is where I'm at. I've done my twisted rib. Let's hold this up. So there we go. Done my twisted rib. And what I've gone and done, there we go. We'll hold that back so you can see it. I have gone and put some traveling twisted stitches there. That is at the side. So I've got one on both sides. And that's just the one little extra detail. There we go. Can you see that? There you go. It's a bit dark, it's a bit see. There you go. The one little extra detail I'm adding is those twisted stitches all the way up, which is why I'm liking the twisted ribs, the twisted rib sleeve, Charles. This is why I'm liking this idea. So I'm going to actually have a little play around and do some swatching with all of that. And you know what? And this is what's all. Swatching is almost like it's like sketching, but in 3D. So don't be afraid to do it. And I certainly don't. It doesn't, faze me that if I have to do it. I may swatch. Oh, actually, can I? Yes, I can. Can I? Yes, I can, because I can. As you can see, I've got a tail coming out the bottom here, so I will be able to swatch from the bum of my cone, as it were. So that's what I'm up to. Maybe the rib detail. Oh, yes. Well, that's what I'm looking at doing. I know. I'll change. You know me, Charles. I'll change my mind a million times between now and then. That's how I roll. Anyway, everyone's here now, so it's good. I'm going to let you know about Epic Sale because that's what you're all here for. You're not really that interested in my knitting. That's the only knitting I did over the weekend, by the way, nothing else. So you haven't missed. I'm not like Ethan that knits a million things at a million, at the speed of light. I'm so much slower. Epic Sale, right. Epic Sale starts on Saturday, midnight Saturday night, or midnight Friday night, as in 12 a.m. Saturday morning. Do you find knitting through, sorry, Sue's just got a question. Do you find knitting through the back of the loop harder on your hands? Not if I'm knitting in the round, Sue. It's harder. I do find if I'm knitting flat and I'm having to purl through the back of the loop, that's a little fiddly, which I had to do with my swatch. But that's why if I'm going to do twisted stitches, I quite like doing it in the round because it's just like normal knit stitch. Anyway, Epic Sale starts this Saturday. So online starts at midnight Friday night, Saturday day. And it means this year we're actually having the shop open this year. Last year, if you were local, you may remember that we couldn't have just with COVID and everything else, it was just too tough to have the shop open and staff. Whereas this year, we've got the people that we need, the boots on the ground, and we are determined to have the shop open for everybody. So the shop will be open. So that's number one. And it kicks off in store in here on Saturday. And we're just going to be open our normal hours. So Saturday 10 to 1, and then normal hours weekdays 10 till 3:30. So if you're a local or if you're in the area, those are the magic hours. So that's what's happening in store. There will always be extra bits and pieces here in store that we won't necessarily have online, because what happens is the mill does a little bit of a spring clean, and we do a bit of a spring clean here, and there's always cartons of boxes that there just physically isn't enough stock to load online. Because it will only be sort of 20, 30 balls here or there. So we just tend not to list those. They just go out in the shop. So if you are able to make it locally, there are some real little treasures to be had in the shop that you will not get online. Online, however, there is plenty happening. So the good news is, as I alluded to with Claire last week, we were actually the most sort of organised replic sale that we'd been for a long time. So we had probably more than 80% of our stock in from the mill that we were expecting before Cyclone Gabrielle. So there has been some stuff that has been that we're not going to get in time for sale. Actually, that's okay, because it just means that once everything gets up and running, we'll have some new stock that we'll be able to bring you after the sale. So that's good news number one. Good news number two is that prices pretty much for epic sale are starting from $2.95 a ball. Yay. And we have gone through every couple of years. We didn't do it last year. In fact, I think it's probably been 3 years since we've done it. Actually, it might have been since we moved into here. We do what we call quite a big range rationalisation. So that means that we will go through all the ranges, we look at what our plans are moving forward, and that's when we decide what, it's a bit like that old Clash song, do I stay or do I go? And Claire and I play that game. So we actually played that game 6 months ago and started to make the ranging decisions moving forward for this season coming 2023. And there are a few things in there that are going that you might be a bit shocked that are going. However, never say never. Some things may come back. So we already put vintage on early for you. Now, before you all have heart attacks, vintage isn't disappearing permanently. It is just going on hiatus. We are looking at bringing that manufacture back in-house. But because of the scheduling and everything for the rest of 2023, it's highly unlikely that ranging will be back by the end of 2023. So if you are a vintage lover, you need to stock up on your vintage now, because once the current stocks have sold out, it will be back to the new ranging. As I said, could be up to 8 to 10 months away before that comes back. Okay, so you really do need to stock up on that vintage now. It's probably quicker if I tell you what's not going to be in the sale, just to give you an idea of how epic the sale is. So patterns and books are not going to be in the sale. So if you're wanting to get some patterns or books to get some ideas and formulate some plans ahead of epic sale, this week is a good time to get those, because you can get those in your hot little hands and do a bit of planning before sale starts. The Ashford dies are not going to be in the sale, or the kits, so anything Ashford. Single needles. So that's tips, cables, and straights, and standard DPNs. None of them will be in the sale, but sets and bags and needle cases will. Okay. Coastal cotton's not in the sale. All Southlander isn't in the sale, and that includes Highlander, Heathers, and Truly Myrtle. And that's because we all did our big Southlander thing at the end of last year, and then Highlander Heathers had a big day with Stitch in Summer. And so we're just sort of we're going to leave it out. We always like to do something separate for those yarns because they're so amazing, and we like to give them their own time in the sun. So they're not going to be in epic sale. Lothlorien, which is the accessories that we do have a few accessories, they're not in the sale. And Skeinz Super Soft. I don't think I've missed anything. So that's not what's in the sale. Everything else is going to be in sale in one form or another. And we've got a couple of batches. Yeah, as I said, pricing starts at $2.95 or equivalent. So I've got two batches that full ranges that are at that equivalent that are going to be on sale. And there is one, two, three. Oh, there was going to be 4 ranges that were discontinued, but you've already cleared out the Southland Miles. So definitely 4 full ranges on sale. Now, one of the questions I have had already is that some people have noticed some things creeping into the sale page, and you're thinking, oh, that's really weird because it's in there and it's at full price. Perrindale being an exact example. We are giving Perrindale a haircut. So there are some yarns that are being discontinued out of Perrindale. And the reason they're being discontinued is because there are almost identical or very close to colour equivalents in other yarns across the range. So in Perrindale, you'll see electric blue, papaya, chocolate, buttermilk, eureka, your ultraviolet, fuchsia, black and ice blue are all sitting on the sale page. They will have a much deeper discount than the other Perrindale yarns because they are being discontinued. Fear not, though. The reason we're doing it is because electric blue has pretty much got an equivalent in snug. Papaya has got an equivalent in snug. Chocolate, well, just no one, like, everyone's fallen out of love with chocolate. So we've got truffle in vintage and bracken and the dark colours in flight naturals. So that seems to be where people want to go with dark browns at the moment. Buttermilk, we've got champagne and snug. Eureka is cyan. Almost identical cyan and snug. Ultraviolet, same as violet and snug. Fuchsia, magenta and snug. And you guys seem to love the snug more, that, you know, it's such good value. Black, same thing. And ice, same thing. So all of those Perrindale colours pretty much have an equivalent in snug. So we're leaving the snug there, and we're going to get rid of these Perrindale shades. So that's why those are on that page. And the same for some of the, I think the Pearl Lusters, I think I moved some of the Pearl Lusters across there as well. Half the Pearl Luster range is going, so essentially the bright shades are being discontinued, and then we're keeping the softer shades. Now, that's not to say that we're not going to bring out new brighter shades later on, but this is what we're doing for now. That also doesn't include some of the new yarns that we've got coming in. So we have got, which is one of my jobs actually probably tomorrow, it's to start photographing all of those up. Do look out for them. Anything new, limited editional, quirky is going to be in that sale page. If it's a complete range, it's probably not going to go into the sale page. It will go into its normal ranging page. So make sure you check that normal ranging page out. So, you know, do and have a look there. Oh, Vicky, I do so much miss Urban Deluxe. Am I the only one? No, you're not the only one, Vicky. But it was fibre. We were having trouble getting fibre, and they put the price up. And when they start putting, and actually Urban Deluxe, to be fair, you've got Flight Merino, which is almost very similar to Urban Deluxe, but it's just because, yeah, it's, you know, we've got value. Our whole thing is all about value. Will there be? Lucy's asking, will there be any 3-ply baby wools? The short answer to that, Lucy, is no. We've got the Pearl Luster. Unfortunately, 3-ply baby is something that is just not in demand. Most people want 4-ply. You can transition and use 4-ply, our Merino Soft or our Flight Light in a 3-ply pattern. So yeah, it's just not. It doesn't warrant us to do full batches. So there you go. Oh, Vicky, Flight's just not the same. No, it's not the same, Vicky, but it's all. The problem is, so this is here's the hard economic truth, people, is that to do the shrink treated Urban Deluxe wool, which is not merino but just shrink treated wool, which we would do in here locally, it works out being more expensive than the Flight Merino. And people just don't get that. They just think, well, why would, and they just don't get it. And essentially every yarn has to present great value and earn its place on the shelf. In Urban, yeah, it's just practicality. Yeah. Anywho, where was I at? Oh, actually, the other thing too is if you are wanting to get any needles, like the things that I said to you that aren't on sale, or if you are finishing a project and you think, I'm going to be a ball or two short here, you might want to actually get those ordered this week, because from midnight Friday night, Saturday morning, it is going to be bedlam, and getting those orders out to you could take a wee while. So if there is, and there's nothing worse than someone saying, I went to go and get the extra ball and it was already sold out. So it would be really, really important for you to sort of to get on and do that. Solange, more colours, Chatswood Forest Green. Maybe we have actually put in some requests for some more Chatswood colours. We've got a forest green that we're playing around with at the moment, Solange, which we've actually just popped into Albertine, and we've actually got a darker green that we've been playing around with over Cove. So it may, yes, something might actually happen. We're not in time for sale, but yes, extending Chatswood has definitely been on the list of jobs to do. Then pretty much everything else in terms of core range has got at least 10% off. Blankets will have 20% off. Cove actually will have 20% off. Cascade 220 Merino will have 20% off. Actually, is it 20% off? It might even be slightly more than it's. No, actually 25% off, $14.95. There you go. So those are some things to look forward to. So especially with the Cascade, it's such a beautiful yarn, and if you're wanting to get lots of colours in, it is amazing. Some of the tips, and this is literally, I'm writing a newsletter for this now, but I'm going to be like a broken down record with these this week. And I just want to make sure that everybody doesn't get caught short. So the biggest thing is plan out now, get your projects planned. So if you know, have you got certain projects you're planning for, go through and find out exactly how much yarn you need for that project, then add a 20% contingency. Okay, 20% contingency, really important. So if you do that, then, because if it sells out and it's not one that we're bringing back, then you know you're covered. If you're wanting to purchase just to stock up and stash to have there, then make sure you just sort of know roughly what your amounts are. So if you're wanting to do sort of adult projects, for example, I always do a rule of thumb that, so for children's projects, I do a rule, so from sort of school age children to early teens, rule of thumb, 10 balls, DK, good as gold. And for an adult, I always go 20 balls, 2 bags, don't dick around with it. That's what I do. Now, I know that it's really rare that there is a project that I'm going to use 20 balls on. It would have to be a full long line Aran cardigan or something like that. But I do it because it gives me extras or contingency if I know I've got it there. And quite often, if I do 20 balls of something, if it's depending on the style, I will use maybe 12 to 16 balls for what I need to do. What I have left over, I can compile together and stripe something up or do it for a children's project or what have you. But it just means that you know that you have enough. So that is always a really good option to do. And especially with the sale prices, you are sort of saving. So have a little list of what it is that you think you might want. Work out what your amounts are, and then when you're going in, you can plan. The next thing, don't preload your cart. People do it every year. It drives us troppo, because what happens is people go through, they select what they want, they put it in their cart thinking they're being really clever and organized, and they do it on that on the Friday, and they put it all there, and then they go to checkout on Saturday, and then they discover one of two things has happened. Thing number one is the sale prices haven't pulled over into any of the items in the cart, and it's because you preloaded that cart before the sale started. So that's thing number one. And thing number two that happens is sometimes that if that yarn has sold out and it's not been checked out and it's sitting in your cart, the system will take it out of your cart. So bagsing it in your cart isn't taking it out of circulation for everybody else. Okay, you'll go to checkout and then you'll see that item's disappeared from my cart. So the way the system works is the stock checks out and disappears out of the system as it's transacted out and sold, which is why on a rare occasion, if we're really busy, you'll have something in the cart, then you'll go to transact out, and all of a sudden that item has disappeared out of your cart, and you're thinking, hold on a minute here, I know I put it in there. And it's because as people have transacted out, that item has sold out, and the system may either whip it out of your cart, or unfortunately, if it hasn't had time to upload, because there is a time lag with this, that's sometimes when we get oversold items. And unfortunately, it happens. There's not a lot we can do about it, because the volumes we get through at that time are so great that we work really hard to try and avoid it, but it just happens. Excuse me. Oh, hay fever, joy. So that is my big advice. Don't preload your cart, and don't panic if things drop out. The next thing too is practice. If you haven't bought from us for a while, which I know is not necessarily everybody in this group here, but if it's been a while since you've logged in, Thursday or Friday before the sale, go in and just check your username and password, and make sure you've got all of those sorted and nailed down. Once the excitement of sales starts, you'll be amazed at how the old memory lets you down, and you can't quite remember what that is, and then it takes you ages to get in, and then what happens is you email Cheryl, and Cheryl's will be swamped in the first few days of inquiry, so it could take her a few days to get back to you, which then means that by the time you get those details, whatever it is that you're after is sold out. So a little bit of preparation, people, here goes a long way. So check your username and password first. Make sure you can log in and out of your account first. If you haven't created one, get in and create one now so you can get yourself in and out before you need sorry, I'm just reading Kathy's comment. What did you call it? Cartjacked. Kathy's just saying, I've been cartjacked when buying cash Gora at Outlaw. When logging in, it can happen quickly. I like that, cartjacked. Yes, so do practice that first. Really important. Second thing is also know on the site where the things that you want are. So the sale page is there. It gets a lot of traffic, but also know how to search. Use your search bar and put in the name of the item or the brand of the item that you want, or that where it says search by yarn by range. That's another good way of doing it. So you can actually navigate your way around. Do be aware that during high traffic, we have told our ISP provider, they know sale is coming. They're putting us onto a bigger traffic plan, putting us into a bigger sort of server to cope with all this extra traffic coming through. But it means that the site can slow down. So if you're on there and it's at a glacial snail's pace and you're getting really frustrated and you're like, nothing's happening, nothing's loading, don't zap out to us on social media, especially if it's in the middle of the night. It's literally like a traffic jam. It's like either be patient or wait and come back. So those are certainly a couple of things that you can try, but it will slow down, particularly during those peak times. It gets quite busy after the sale opens for all those night owls that get in there, and then it eases off, and then it will often get going again first thing on Saturday morning. That is normal. It's natural. There's nothing we can do about it. You just have to be patient. One of the things, though, that can help your browsing experience and get you through is to make sure that you've done a complete device restart before you jump on. So our site is optimized to desktops and PCs, as well. We do have mobile optimization, which is essentially phones and tablets, but it's not as effective and easy to navigate as a PC. So if you can shop using a PC, that will give you a better browsing experience. The biggest thing is I would say on Friday, before the sale starts, do a complete device power down. Because how often do many of you turn off your phones? Probably not very often. And what happens, either it's phone or PC, is little bits of data memory, they're called cookies, latch on into your browsing, and that can slow things up. And especially in our site with the age that it is. So if you do a complete power down of your device, and I'm not talking just putting into standby, I'm talking completely powering that sucker off, waiting 30 seconds, and then re-kicking that puppy back on again, will make a world of difference in terms of browsing and checking out if there are any gremlins in there. So doing that the day before is a really, really good idea. Can't recommend that enough. If you're also depending as well on the browser that you're using, again, because of the age of our site, some browsers and the version of some browsers our site doesn't necessarily play very well with. I can't tell you what they are because we don't necessarily know, but it depends on if you're somebody that doesn't necessarily update your browsers regularly, you may find that you have some issues. So if you're using one browser, switch to another. So for example, if you're having trouble on Microsoft Edge, jump over to Chrome or Safari or Firefox or whatever your browser is that you like to use. That can also help. I see Pauline's asking how long is the sale on for? The sale finishes April 2nd. So it's a good two and a bit very full weeks from Saturday the 18th to Sunday, April 2nd. So that is a really good stretch of time, and hopefully, depending on what happens with dyeing and things at the mill, if things get kicked on, we might get a few things sneak through late in the sale, but that's how long that is going on for. So as I said, completely power down your device and restart. One of the big things that we're doing this year, and I think we did it last year too, is no bank deposit option is going to be available in Epic Sale this year. So if you're somebody that pays by bank deposit, so you select direct bank, I think we call it bank deposit on our sale, we're turning that off. It is just because it's exceptionally manual, that system. And if you select it, it means that a third person in our accounting department at the mill is the one that actually has to go through and check that. And what we have found in previous years is people, in the excitement of everything, they'll do it, they'll place it, they'll select bank deposit, and then they forget to pay. And we literally transact thousands of orders, and it's like finding a needle in a haystack, and it just becomes too hard. So we are turning it off, and we're really sorry if you're one of those people. So that's the time to have a look at either talk to somebody that you know, a trusted person that you know, to see if they can order what they can, and then you can arrange to pay them, or look at something like a Visa debit option. Our new website, we were hoping to have that up and running, which actually has a direct internet banking option that you can do online at time of transaction. That will fix that, but unfortunately we weren't able to get all of that up and running in time. So that will be turned off, so you're aware. If you're local, you can still come into store, of course, and use cash at any time. So that's no worries. Expect delivery delays. Obviously, we've got delivery delays at the moment because of the roads and the ferries, but we're at the moment up to date. However, that first 24 hours of Epic Sale, I cannot tell you how. I mean, the number of orders that we receive in that first 24 hours is literally quite epic. And what happens is those who get their orders in early will often post up in places like the Speakeasy what they've received. We don't want to stop you doing that. Please do. We love it. Please still do it. People love to see what you've purchased. However, if you've purchased on that opening day, and you may have purchased at midday, and you find that 4 or 5 days later you still haven't got your shipping notification that your yarn is left, don't be alarmed. And that is literally due to the volume that we have going. We've actually streamlined the warehousing system in terms of getting all of that stuff checked out. So we're hoping to be a little bit more efficient this year in getting that done, but it does go super fast. So don't be alarmed if you place an order on opening day and it takes a wee while to get to you. Trust me, we will get it to you, but it just can take some delays. And Cheryl, the wonderful Cheryl, is here now. So she's running the customer service desk this year. I did it last year. She's doing it and she will be open essentially the shop hours. So she'll be manning the desk from 10 a.m. to 3:30. So if you're somebody that likes to do a telephone order, the interweb is a bit much for you, you can ring Cheryl and she will do your order over the phone for you. So that is no problem whatsoever. So you can do that. Joe's asking, can you please tell me the base of the beautiful green yarn that was, the sent out in the price packs? That's a really good question, Joe. I think it was just a machine washable DK. Pretty certain it was just standard machine wash DK. So I would just grab a flight, or flight would probably work, or Albertine, or even vintage. Even though vintage isn't machine washable, but that would work too. Be similar Wait. Yes, there you go. What else did I have on my list here? I literally still writing this list. The other thing is, if you're in town, do come and visit. So I'm going to hopefully be out doing sort of social media and fun stuff, but also having a bit of time in the shop. Cara and I doing the shop, so we can see everybody. So it is really loads of fun. It's pretty intense epic sale, but once the first few days are the most intense, but once we get into the swing of things, and also too, you are allowed to purchase more than once. I think the record for most purchases last year was 15. One person, so that was almost one a day for every day the sale was on. So do make sure you check back, because if we do get new yarns come online during the epic sale, they will be loaded up, and it's because things come in, or we don't get everything up all at one go. And also too, you sometimes miss stuff as well. So do make sure that you go back and check those things out. So there you go. Everything epic sale. So I will be back I'm going to pop a lot of this information out on the newsletter. I will be back and catch up with you on Thursday, and hopefully there might be even some more news on what's happening between now and then. But until then, you have a great time. I'll talk to you on Thursday. Take care, and list it on your calendar. Okay, bye.